on this show are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production of Glory 93.9 FM.
This past Sunday, August 15th, Dr. Dal Regis indicated that the country hoped to fully vaccinate 60,000 Bahamians over the next 6 weeks. I am encouraged by the high number of people coming forward to get vaccinated. With our new supply and you doing your part taking the shots, we are beginning the process to end the emergency phase of the pandemic. Our goal is for the Bahamas to be one of the most vaccinated small island developing countries in the world. Dear fellow Bahamians, as a result of our country reaching the goal of securing the vaccines we need, it is now time for the Bahamian people to choose who they want to lead them as we move towards vaccinating every Bahamian who wishes to be vaccinated. Your next government will have key decisions to make in enacting post-pandemic public health legislation. Your next government will have to make other key decisions to build on the robust economic growth started on our watch. Your next government will have to make important decisions on rebuilding and renewing a post-COVID-19 Bahamas. A new mandate is needed to ensure that a government is in place to do this difficult work over the long term as we are reaching a critical turning point in the pandemic. I have advised the Governor General to issue the writs of election, which will be held on Thursday, the 16th of September, 2021. We have a long tradition of peaceful elections. Let us continue that proud tradition. We must discuss the issues rigorously and peacefully, contrasting our various visions for the country. In our democratic tradition, the people rule. Your collective wisdom will decide our way forward. Your collective wisdom will decide our shared future. All political parties should conduct their campaigns in keeping with public health guidelines. May God continue to bless and guide our Bahamas. Thank you for listening. Good afternoon.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Wardrobe provided by Bahari Bahamas. Visit shopbahari.com. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm. Always a pleasure to be in your company today, especially today, now that we know when this election will take place. Praise the Lord. Some of us been waiting for a little while for this bell to ring. Prime Minister just announcing, well, first and foremost, we woke up this morning with a leaked letter that apparently had been sent to Free National Movement members of Parliament, from what I'm advised, early this morning, like 5 o'clock this morning, advising of the dissolution of Parliament, and that the general manager, the Governor General had been asked to dissolve Parliament and the new date of the date of the election, and they will return to the House of Assembly. And then there was some question as to whether or not that was legit. Some people were saying it was legit. Others were saying it was not. My contacts told me that it was legit. And then the next thing we know, we hear that the Prime Minister is going to be making a national address at 11 o'clock. And those of you who turned in time, you would have just heard him announce that the next election will be held on the 16th of September, 2021. So snap it is. And, you know, my guest today and I have been warning people that this day was coming from I was in the other place. We told them that this man was holding on to that emergency order more so for political expediency than for medical and science reasons. We telling them from that time, see, Alan, we've been telling them.
They said we were crazy.
Huh?
They say we was
crazy. We don't know what we're talking about, right? And you know what's so ironic? When we really didn't have that many cases, he was still holding on to this emergency power for political expediency, in my opinion. And I know that this is your opinion as well. And now, the very excuse what he was using to hold on to power before, come back to bite him. Because now we really got a problem. And yet, in the midst of all of this problem, this new virulent variant that is here, all people dying, hospital overrun, morgue overrun. Now you can call election? I suspect that, and I have you here on the show today because obviously you're the man who's been breaking this down for us from then. I suspect that he really didn't have I know you were saying, well, maybe he gonna go down next year, but here's the problem, C. Allen. This house of cards coming down, everything falling apart around him.
Yep.
And without the money he needed to do what he needed to do, to hold on as long as he could, he ain't had no choice but to call an early election. Because this house of cards coming down.
Yep. Plus, remember now, we said to you that the jackals was at his door. They came even closer as we discussed this. We're going to tell you, we're going to explain to them that basically, you know, the door is backwards against every wall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Between a rock and a hard place. That's where he found himself. Did not have a choice. As we've been hearing, he needed a new mandate because the persons the entities whom he had hoped to borrow money from said, we're not going to give you this money unless we know you have a new mandate from the nation that you are going to be the next prime minister, which is understandable because, you know, what's the point of me giving you all this money and then you get voted out? And then where my money gone? So he really couldn't get the money mustered up to do what he needed to do. And then on top of that, COVID come back to bite him in the worst way. So now you find yourself in a position where the nurse is out, the doctor's threatening to go, the teacher's saying, you know, stand by now, BPL walk off the job today. Everything is falling apart around him. The hospital is on the brink of collapse. both doctors and PMH, the morgue overcrowded, overflowing, everything.
Power company on strike.
That's what I'm saying. So everything is falling apart around him. He couldn't risk going any longer than this. What are your thoughts? You're the expert here. What are your thoughts?
Yes, remember we said that the government did not have enough money to go past October 1st. And looking at in spite of what they said about the revenues, unless he had a contract by this month of September, we had no choice. The civil service and all those temporary workers would have known the truth on October 1st when those deposits were not made into the account. Maybe at the end of September, that last Thursday, September, that the civil service looked forward to,
right?
They would have found empty accounts. What also happened is this also is part of a political chess move. We've been telling them about it for the longest.
Yeah.
This was, a lot of people are focusing on Halson Moultrie. And I've spoke to the legal minds I consult with, and they said that a lot of options was available to Minnis, but his political advisor in the name of Carl Bethel may not have been astute to what is called political maneuvering. Let's use an example. If he wanted to remove Halson Moultrie from weeks ago, he could have removed Halson Moultrie by simply appointing him as a parliamentary secretary or something, then filling the position of lead of the House, and then when he takes the nut, it's a lot of different ways to go about it. Then simply replacing him. There's some other ways. I don't want to go into the show of it, but because it's neither nay or there that is here. That could have been. It's a lot of ways that he could have dealt with Halson Moultrie. So this is not about Halson Moultrie.
Right.
This is about the leader of government business. This is about the Minister of Health.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, the Minister of Health had put himself in a situation where the nurses for 7 days so far have not come to work. 2 days ago, Hubert Alexander Minnis had to run to the doctors and beg them to come to work because they were considering industrial action.
Mm-hmm.
The work, it's like everything is coming down because the Minister of Health basically rewarded those around him. The Minister of Health has allegedly also rewarded himself because even when questioned, he never denied it. He redirected the answer to simply say, I did not receive any money from the emoluments.
Mm-hmm.
That's if I didn't receive any money, I would simply say I did not receive any money. I wouldn't say I didn't receive any money from what was designated from the emoluments.
Right,
and
right.
So if you actually was to move Renwood Wells, Minnis had two protectors in Parliament. He had the Speaker of the House that protected him for 4 years. And he had the leader of government business that also protected him. So no one could reach Hubert Alexander Minnis' leadership without those two consent.
Right.
And so essentially those were the two guards at the gate. One of the guards left, Halson Moultrie. And the second guard was in a position where his resignation was also imminent.
Mm-hmm.
And so in essence, the day Renwood Wells was removed out of the cabinet, Minnis would have been meat for the hyena.
And they were standing by waiting to pounce. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good morning, Michelle. How you doing? CA, what's happening, bro?
Good.
How you doing, sir?
Right here, man. Boy, yesterday was historic. My personal feeling is that we were talking a huge debate yesterday evening, some of my colleagues and I. And I mean, if Renwood Wells was removed from his post, that would have made a big difference. I mean, everyone's sick of Renwood Wells in all branches of the medical. I mean, it's crazy, man. He came when he said he was going to give the money back. The nurses they haven't gotten their money from last year. The doctors are perturbed. I mean, if Minnis was just able to clean house in that regard, that would have been some ointment on the wound, man. Because Renwood Wells, I mean, he's been a disaster. He's been a disaster. Okay, he has been a problem, a thorn in the side of the FNF. He wasn't supposed to be there from the get-go. It's funny because you mentioned earlier him, Prime Minister, being advised by Carl Bethel. I mean, it doesn't seem like political chess moves per se. I'd like him more to checkers or something less. What's the word?
Strategic.
Less strategic.
No, but I disagree with you. This has been very strategic. Very strategic.
Honestly, I mean, but in the most unstrategizing way possible. I mean, the moves he's made, the choices he's made, haven't been wise ones. Okay? When he gets the grasp on his grip and power.
Let's see Alan respond to that, because I don't necessarily agree.
See, the problem is you're looking for wise decision. You have to look at how was the decisions made it was political in a strategy. See, the problem is that we were expecting competent decisions to be made. The reason why the hospital is collapsing, because we told you all the way back in February, and then it was revealed that a snap election was prepared for February when the first time the Cambridge Analytica advisors came to town. It's just that minutes blinked and it ended up going past that. Then they were looking again for early March, as we told you again, because see, what people have to understand is when we give you these predictions, it's based on the current information in real time. And so as soon as the dynamics changes, the formula then changes. And so in essence, we told you every decision he made was not for the interest of the medical or dealing with this issue.
Strictly survival. That's all it was.
That's right. I agree.
Survival. Okay?
I agree.
Okay?
And for that reason, I disagree when you say it wasn't well done. He played his cards.
Oh, he played it. It wasn't well done for us. It wasn't well done for us.
It wasn't well done for us, but it was very well done for him.
Very well played for him.
But see, okay, Michelle, all I'm saying roughly is it basically looks like it was desperation. It looked like child's play to me, man. You know, we talk about political chess moves. We got to talk about guys like, you know, Ingram. You know, we
Yeah, but in all fairness, caller, Ingram never had to face the level of challenges that Hubert Minnis has had to face. Never.
Well,
never.
We had a serious depression. We had a downturn in the economy worldwide.
I'm not even talking about external forces. I'm talking about internal forces.
Well, that's true.
He's never had to face this kind of challenge that Hubert Minnis had to face.
He had Andrew, and he had a major downturn in the worldwide economy.
No. There was no major. No, COVID was the major downtime because the economy, the global economy was on the upswing.
He talking about Ingram. He talking about Ingram.
Andrew, he had some pillars. He had some real problems he had to deal with, and he dealt with it successfully, in my opinion.
Yeah, he did.
In comparison to our current administration,
he did. But nothing that Hubert Alexander Ingram faced was on the level of what Hubert Minnis has had to face to make it this far.
I agree. And
for him to survive this long, in spite of all of that, kudos to him. He's a very
survival. It depends again levels of survival.
No, we're not talking. See, understand, our Constitution is what protected him. We talk about his survival from the political treachery within his party. That's where he has survived.
Yeah.
So the problem is that Minnis for 8 years, even in opposition, he didn't do us any justice. And then for 8 years, 4 years of governance, he spent time protecting the position of prime minister as opposed to governing. If you look at all the decisions, most of the cabinet ministers made decisions on their own, and few of them ever made competent decisions. Period. So,
see, if you recall, the equilibrium had been lost in the FNM cap for some time now. It was actually very embarrassing because the MPs are not in sync. The Agla says one thing, the Prime Minister comes back and says another.
That's what I'm saying. They did what they want, and then he responded.
No. Hold on. That can be. That's a possibility. Also, it's another possibility that, well, boy, you say one thing and you do the next, and you know, there's no unison. I know Diageo, for example. I don't know him personally, business wise, but we have had many discussions over the years. And I mean, if you tell him something, you know, if you agree to something, and then it shouldn't be any conflict the next time we talk again. It should be the same thing. Why embarrass an MP when seemingly, I wasn't there, I wasn't a fly on the wall, but seemingly they came to a decision, and he spoke on that decision that was made.
Caller, you're still missing the point. You're still missing the point.
I'm missing the point.
The point that you're missing.
Right.
You are making this observation with the assumption that this man was doing things for the good of the party or the good of the nation or the good of democracy.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not actually, Michelle. I'm not clarifying myself.
Okay.
The way I should.
But you're making observations where you're going back trying to do an analysis of isolated cases. I am talking to you. You have to look at the whole picture, and you have to observe him from the beginning. What I'm saying to you, cabinet was never in sync, because after they were giving certain authorities to go, what Minnis did was reacted after they did whatever they have to do, and there was no cohesion in cabinet because Minnis' sole purpose was to preserve his position. It was not about governing and being a team leader.
It was all about holding on to power. And we've been, you and I have been saying that, C. Allen, since I was in the other place.
Yes.
And people were attacking us left, right, and center. And now here we come, and the very same, boy, look here.
C. Allen, your last statement, I agree. I agree completely with your last statement. That shed on a light on what I was trying to say, basically. You know,
anyhow,
this is very, very, very interesting. I got a piece of information. I'm gonna double check and make sure that it's accurate. But so far, there's even more dirt coming out. Oh my goodness!
Let me just say that, caller. Let me just say that.
Just what's up to me, and I'll answer it for you.
The worst we have ever seen when it comes to mudslinging in an election. Trust me, from all directions. This can get nasty.
There's a farm company, there's a local pharma company they understand that Prime Minister has shares in, and they have a direct interaction with the hospital as far as the vaccines are concerned, the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine. There's two other names involved. Well, like I said before, I can't say anything about it until I get verification.
Yeah, don't say nothing because we can't afford to get sued.
This is gonna be on Facebook within the week. Yeah. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. This ain't gonna be no marathon. This is a sprint. So expect a lot of stuff to be coming out in rapid succession from all directions, because this is a sprint. This ain't no marathon.
Did you listen to Minnis in his short address a few minutes ago before the show started?
Of course.
Okay. He's still campaigning on this vaccine. I mean, he's still campaigning on this vaccine. He's still pushing this vaccine. Take the vaccine.
I can answer that too.
Take the vaccine.
Go ahead, Cialan, respond.
You have to understand is that we got 128,000 doses of vaccine from the United States government, a wonderful gift, including the ability to store it. We also got, I think, 30-something thousand of the other vaccine and another gift. Here's the problem we have. You have a time limit of about 6 weeks or so from the time of these vaccines begin that you have to issue, that you have to have them done. Let's even move it at 8 weeks. Essentially, when you divide the doses by 2, you're now talking about 80,000 doses that we have in the country. And then we have another, because remember, we have a total pledge of almost 400,000 doses. So we have another 300,000, which will be another 150,000 doses for persons coming in. But let's go with the 80,000. You have 80,000 doses to issue in 8 weeks. That's essentially 10,000 doses per week that you must give out before the vaccine could possibly expire. So here's the problem you have. That's a tremendous execution that has to happen in the middle of a crisis where you have people, this fourth wave or third wave, depending which number you believe, is having the hospital system collapse. and mistrust in leadership. This is like, I think one time, this is a matter of trust, where people, even if they want to take the vaccines, have a matter of, we have a lack of trust in the leadership that we currently have.
Right.
And so let me say, if he had failure of issuing these vaccines, and you have tens of thousands of vaccines that have to be destroyed, that too would become catastrophic to his leadership. See, these are all things piling up on his decision to go now or never.
House of cards falling down. House of cards coming down.
Actually, to add to that point, I don't know if you remember when Dwayne Sands was being interviewed by Nahaja a few months ago, and he mentioned that the mRNA vaccines have to be stored at 60 degrees below zero.
Yes.
I believe that's the exact number. And he said that they don't have the infrastructure to house a vaccine under those conditions.
No, actually, we do. We don't have the infrastructure outside of New Providence. So let me explain to you where the logistic nightmare comes in. You can take the vaccine from New Providence, but let's say you go to Mayaguana where there's 200 people. Once you take the logistic is finding a helicopter or plane to get the vaccine to Mayaguana. And this is where we were begging the United States for logistic help in distribution. Once you take those vaccines to Mayaguana, whatever you don't use in a certain amount of hours has to be disposed of. You can't bring them back.
Exactly.
And so the logistic nightmare is remember, we have 30 inhabited islands or close to it. And you have this freezer on New Providence. The logistics then become, how do you do distribution across these islands to make sure that people would be there lined up, ready to go, jobs in hand, or the vaccine that you take to those islands would have to be destroyed. And so that becomes a logistic nightmare, because we're talking about 30 islands and keys inhabited, that you have to now get vaccines to them in a matter of hours to get them in these portable freezers and whatever else. And once you break the seal on them, that's it. So what we have is a crisis. And even though we were gifted with the vaccines from the United States government, we never made any preparation for distribution should they respond it. We were like begging, and they said, well, I hope you have a bowl ready, and we never bought a bowl. And so essentially, when they came and they delivered the vaccine, we started screaming at them, you don't have the extra bowls, do you? You ain't got the extra bowls, do you? And so the vaccine are secured on New Providence, but they're not secured on getting to the other islands.
Exactly.
Oh, what a time! What a time!
Exactly.
What a time! Listen,
Exactly.
Carla, we got to take a break.
Go ahead.
I want to thank you for calling, though.
Not a problem.
All right, we got to take a break. My God, what a time! What a time! Anyhow, I don't know about you, but I feel a sense of lightness. It just feels lighter. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay tuned.
Ocean blue is the best in seafood, hey, hey. Fresh out the water and affordable too, yeah. We got fish, conch, lobster, shrimp, everything you want. Ocean blue got it, got Ocean blue, friendly and clean, best service you ever seen. Ocean blue is the best in seafood, yeah. Fresh out the water and affordable too, yeah. Ocean blue seafood, we are here for you. Ocean blue seafood, no one else will do. Ocean Blue Seafood, located on Bernard Road. Contact us at 393-2160.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all. Schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Youngevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Youngevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Alive. Alive. Believe in best. And by Tropical Gyros. Not just good food, it's an experience. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company along with C. Alan Johnson. And I'm calling this show today, We Told You So. Actually, no. I'm calling this show today Political Chess Moves. Because, you know, we've been doing a series of shows on these political chess moves that we've seen going on. And we've been warning you about this for months. For months. And some of y'all so blinded by your tribe colors that y'all was attacking us. Oh, y'all shut up. Y'all know what y'all talking about. Yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm.
But the beauty is, every date we give, if they look back in retrospect, is correct, because the leaks and the documents and the action came afterwards to prove everything we say was correct. I think it was the PLP who revealed the dates where ministers trying to call election in February and again in May. And so, but we told you these because these are not strictly opinions. These are data-based by watching the numbers, watching the figures. And so when you get emotionally, what happens is, what people have to understand is, when you lean towards the PLP, the DNA, the Coalition of Independence, or the FNM, you suffer from what is called confirmation bias. So you only look for things to affirm what you believe. And anything that conflicts with what you believe begins to become an issue.
I had somebody, I'm trying to find this comment. Here it is. Somebody had a really interesting question. Hasheen says, I love the idea or conversation about the political chessboard between the parties. My question to Brother C. Allen is, what is the chess move for we the people?
Excellent.
Huh?
Now's the time for you to go and speak to individuals. Look at the party's manifesto if they have time to reduce one. Well, we know where the FNM one is called the Economic Recovery Committee report. Okay, so
you wicked C. Allen. That's wickedness. That's pure wickedness.
We can finally get to see what the Economic Recovery Committee recommended. But what you look at is that you have to look at individuals that possess the competence to contribute to the information or the dialogue that is necessary to carry us forward in this new dispensation we are in. We have to begin to judge the FNM by its credibility, by a credibility factor. And the party itself has failed a credibility factor. But there are some individuals within the party who I think deserve a second chance. I really do. Because again, we have to grade, and this is the blow against the FNM. You must grade MPs on their functioning within their constituency. You must grade MPs on their functioning within Parliament. And for those that held cabinet position or governmental position, you must grade them also for that position. So that's 3 grades as an example. So first thing we have to do is look at what MP is supposed to do. Legislation, policies, and programs. And so when you begin to judge them, I'm not talking about handing out food bags or picking up garbage on the side of the road, because that's the civil servant's job. I'm talking about the impact they have on your life and the belief that you believe that these new individuals will be able to bring, without party allegiance, an impact on your life. But the most important part of this is not what you do or we do as a collective. Is what you do as an individual the day after the election, regardless of who wins. The problem we have is that we give away our power on the day of election. The day after election, we must begin to exercise the power of the people, or the collective power of the people is and shall always be greater than the selective few in Parliament. And what do you mean by that? It means that individually, you must hold whoever that person is as the member of Parliament responsible. This is an opportunity for you to take the foot off your neck and put it on theirs. And I'm simply saying is that you would simply say we are in a period of crisis, and this is not time for political alignment. This is not time for faking intelligence. This is time for the collective intelligence of this community to be heard in Parliament. And so when you begin to hold your member of Parliament individually responsible for the decisions they make on a weekly basis, imagine that you're going to check up on your employee 52 times a year. So all you have to do is go every Sunday as a collective, make sure that the member of Parliament knows what are the issues that he must dwell with for this week, and check back with him on the next Sunday or that Saturday to find out what has been done. And whenever that member of Parliament goes against what you as a community wants, you hold them accountable. Speak up against them. When they go to Parliament and says, I see Alan Johnson rise on the great constituency of whatever, you go back on Monday and says he did not speak for us, because we as a collective can say that's not the opinion that we have. So what we have to do is we have to take back the power. No, we don't have to take it back. We have to choose not to surrender the power on September 16th. Choose who you will represent, and make sure that they represent you, and grade the current members of Parliament on their performance as a person constituency. Don't let them tell you, listen to this carefully, don't let them tell you what the party did. Because when government do roads, that's their job. Okay? You know, it's like the ATM machine. You don't thank the ATM machine for giving you money. That's your money. Okay? So so the roads and these things, you ask them, how have you impacted our life, the economy, the job sector, whatever else? That's what you grade them on. Many of the current sitting of members of Parliament will fail miserably on how they perform within the community. And so my thing about it is that you have a number of choices, the PLP and others. And so, but we also must remember, as a collective, you may have 3 seats in Parliament. You have the PLP and the FNM, who will most likely hold government or opposition, and then you have noise. And it's time for us to actually take control of Parliament after the day after the election. And I know I'm going to make myself available to help people, because this is no time for joking and jiving. This is no time for party alignment. This is time for the Bahamian people to take control of their destiny, because if they don't, the jackals of the world will.
Yeah, this is a very critical election for this country and the future of this country. Now, it's something you said, C. Allen, about voting for the individual and not the party, and if they were a good MP. You know, in the last election, some good MPs went down.
Yes.
They went down on that Titanic because people were just so fatigued with Christie. They didn't care who was on that ticket. You're gone.
And we're having a competent authority fatigue right now.
But here's the challenge, though. Is that enough for the other party, the other major party, to be comfortable on? Because people feel like it ain't been that long since we vote y'all out.
Right. Yeah. See, what also happens is, I think both political parties, and this is where it's important that we understand that the demographics of the 60+% of individuals under the age of 40 have been totally ignored for the last decade or more. And this is the opportunity for them to become involved. And you already see that almost 50% of those who question have decided they're not going to vote or they are undecided. No one has spoke to the desires they want, the future they want to experience. We have taken the position of having an argument about who is the least incompetent, right? Who is the least corrupt? Who is the least incapable? So these are things where you say, when you begin to have a discussion of who is the least corrupt, that means you have to admit that they're both corrupt. Exactly. When you begin to have a conversation about who is the least inept, then that means they both inept. And that's the arguments we have to get away from and start to choose and say who's the most competent to go forward from this point. And so the problem is a lot of the MPs in the current sitting of MPs, because of the mandate, basically allowed ministers to buy them out. And they sat on the bus with their arms crossed and just rode this ride. And there's a number of MPs that basically have impact. The problem is less than 10 of them, in my opinion, is less than 10 members of parliament in the FNM that I would even give consideration for actually impact on our country in the last 4 years. The rest of them, and most of them, you can't even call their name. Nobody knows who they are. It's almost like you go, oh, he was from that area, because they had no impact. And so essentially, I see in my mind, there's no reason why the FNM should not be disposed of, except for those 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9 MPs. I'm afraid that we'll have another major mandate, a major flip. This is why it's important that if you have a major, blowout, that the people must not surrender the power like we did to Hubert Alexander Ingram. Now, I can tell you personally, I personally believe that Hubert Alexander Ingram should not be returned to Parliament, period. And the scary part is voting for a lot of MPs, basically because of our parliamentary democracy system, actually is an endorsement of what ministers does. And some of them may have to suffer the consequences for their silence over the last 4 years to allow ministers to continue doing what he did.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi.
Hi.
I agree with what C. Allen is saying. We have been warned in this country. I've noticed that from you and C. Allen came on the show and talked about when election is going to be called. It was accurate. But going forward, I don't think no party has to have the majority of seats in the House because we'll suffer the same slaughter. We need the best of the best. We have been told and warned for years that this present government is our enemy and these things were going to happen. We now have to pick the best of the best. Those men and women have to have a true allegiance to the country and not just follow a Pied Piper because, oh, my leaders say. My leaders say. What are you saying? What grounds are you standing on? Can we hold you accountable? What if your leader is to be removed from the equation? And in some of these parties, if their leader does not win, their party will not be a party. Some are saying they're independent, but we know they have allegiance to their leader. And this Pied Piper syndrome has to stop. It is what has gotten us where we are now. We must have true change, positive change. Not just no changes coming, changes here. The real change.
All right. Very powerful words, ma'am. Thank you so much for calling. You want to add anything to what she had to say?
No, I agree with her. I absolutely agree. And again, but this is why we must not surrender the power that's granted us. Hubert Alexander Mills at 10 o'clock surrendered total power to the people. Now, here's the problem is, we have never truly given up power. What we have given up was authority for them to act on our behalf. They've convinced us that on election night, we have surrendered power. We give them the authority to act on our behalf. If they had power, they wouldn't come back to us. They have the authority to act on our behalf. So what we have to do is let them know on day one, we are not giving you power. We're giving you the authority, but we expect you to seek consent from us literally on a weekly basis. That's what you're asking to go to Parliament to represent us, not part-time. So what we have to do now is we have to form ourselves into communities and hold whomever we choose to send to the House of Assembly accountable on day one. And I'm telling you, I'm going to work my best to make sure I educate Bahamians on how to do it. But let me just answer one person. I saw where the person, Nunette Yada L, where she says 10 on Grand Bahama. There's 5 on Grand Bahama, right? I'm talking about the whole 10 in the order the 39. But right. I can tell you, on Grand Bahama, I'll only send 1 back. Marco City. I'm saying to you, I'll send 1 back. Marco City, for the competence, for he performed. Let's be great, and let me say this. As anybody on Grand Bahama would have to say, Michael Pintard score a 10 in representation in all 5 constituencies. Not just his. In all 5 constituencies from day one, way before this came about. If you judge him concerning legislation, you have to look, because he was a cabinet minister. Look at what is done in the Ministry of Youth, whatever position he held, and his greatest accomplishment is to surrender the green and blue economy to Bahamians. This is a $1 trillion economy. I don't think we talk about this enough. We are talking about the economy that the bill that he passed, we call it the Fisheries Bill, literally has surrendered the opportunity for thousands of Bahamians to become millionaires. And I think we don't look at the value of that. And so when you look at the fact that you say he brought through legislation and he supported certain legislation, and then now he goes in as a policy position from cabinet where he says these are for Bahamians, and so he aligned with A.D. Hanna as fighting for the Bahamianization of our product, and I think he fought what he's achieved. I would only have to assume he must have fought in cabinet for these positions, considering the oligarchs and the plutocrats in cabinet who wanted things to remain the same. So I give him a 10 in representation, an 8 in Parliament, and a 7 or more in cabinet. So out of a score of 30, very easily, 25-26 is his score for me. The rest of them on Grand Bahama, they don't even hit 20.
Wow. Jonathan says, at the end of the day, the people have to want change. Voting for these 2 political parties will always be the status quo if the people don't rise up and want better. And then Jamila says, where was he yesterday at the open parliament? Now is the time to have stood up. He knows the ship is going down. Interesting. What I would like to know is, how is this going to play out as it relates to this pandemic? How will campaigning go? Obviously, we can't have any big rallies. We can't, yeah. And in a way, I think that works in Venice's favor because he don't have the money. So,
but you know, it's a scary thing. I think we're gonna have some debts. I think personally, Venice is sentencing a few dozen people to debt, and I will maintain that. Here's why. Here it is that we have 194,000 individuals. Anybody who did not register by 5 o'clock yesterday is ineligible to vote. Because once the House is, let me, for those who are thinking, once the House is dissolved, on the day it's dissolved, the register closed the day before. So the fact that the House was dissolved today, the register closed yesterday at 5 o'clock. So you can still register to vote. You just won't be voting in this election. So they can't stop you from registering, but you just will not vote on this register. Okay, that's for people to understand. But here is that you're now taking a confinement of 194,000 people. You remember you said that you couldn't have more than 30 in church, and you couldn't have more than this one in the stores, and you have to be vaccinated to go inside of a particular room. You have to then begin to ask yourself, how are they going to sanitize the finger where you dip your finger in? How are they going to sanitize the boot where the people go in to write and use the pen and paper? How are they going to keep the room sanitized? Just remember, they're using classrooms and little small confined rooms. of individuals who come in the form of thousands to actually vote. Then you have the compression. The police force does not have the manpower to go and enforce these social distancing guidelines. We do not have the manpower. In some constituencies, you may have 21 polling stations, and so in multiple locations. And so the question then becomes, where's the manpower and where's the social distancing and in the crisis that we're in such a way that he had to go and get another emergency order. Let's have to tell the people the crisis that Minnis is in, a political crisis, because you just went for a lockdown for another 90 days. And at the same time, the hospital is collapsing upon itself, including the private hospitals like Doctors Hospital. We hear the CEO of Doctors Hospital said in a nice way, we may have to decide who lives and who dies by who we put on ventilators. And so we now have people in the hallway in the hospitals and outside in tents. So now you talking about this Delta variant that I say to you, cloth masks in close proximities do not protect you. N95. Cloth masks, social distancing will provide a 20% coverage. Double masking will maybe move it above 50%, 60%. If both of you are double masked, you could probably hit 70%, including sanitation. But we already see people wearing it on their chin, nose, not sealed. So look
at the comment on the screen. It says, Bain says Canada is making it that only vaccinated persons can vote. Hope Minnis, those don't try that.
But we are facing literally a crisis. Let me tell you the type of crisis we're working. Let's go back to what happened yesterday. Okay? Here's my scenario. Look at the letter that we saw today. Hubert Alexander Minnis made an effort to dissolve Parliament yesterday, right? To give notice of the dissolution so both of them could be read at the same time. Essentially, no matter what happened, he had to go and try to interrupt the Speaker with the open Parliament. But what happens was the Governor General, I think, was hard pressed, and we said this, and I don't know the constitutionality of this or whether it'll be challenged. But my question is it constitutional to call an election during an emergency when all civil rights are suspended, including, I would assume, the right to vote? It didn't say only this, and this. And so essentially the minister is then saying, I'm giving you the right to vote, but I'm not giving you any of your other rights back to you. And so I don't know. So what happened was, seeing that they were debating whether or not the Governor General had the authority to sign an election writ. This is why they run back at 2 o'clock to give a date for September 22nd for the House to reconvene, because they wasn't sure that the Governor General legally had the authority to issue this writ. This is why you have this convoluted, conflated actioning. So in essence, the question still is this election legitimate in the light of this emergency order still being in place?
According to the Constitution, you're supposed to have a time frame on once the House is dissolved to be able to call the election, correct?
No, but he's within the time frame. So when he came today, he's meeting the 21-day deadline, and he's already preset the date of 2 weeks after, or 2 or 3 weeks or so after, 3 weeks after, for the first sitting of the House. The problem is it's customary for prime ministers, like you saw in the past when they prorogue Parliament combined with election writ. They say, look, you have until next Thursday, you have until 2 weeks to register or else. Essentially, ministers said, if you ain't registered by 5 o'clock, too bad for you. Okay? And essentially, that's what he did. So that tells you that he took no consideration of forewarning the people to say, hey, we're going to give you 1 more week to register. We're going to give you 2 more weeks to register. But again, I think the greatest fear that we have is, I think that we're going to set up some people to transmit this Delta variant, COVID, or whatever variant in such a capacity that our hospitals, we will be deciding who live and who die. And I don't know if Minnis is hoping to have a suppressed voters turnout to get what he wants. If the people are against him, but they're afraid of COVID, they're done. So I think it's important for individuals, and I know I'm going to do some public service announcement, is to have some conversation on wearing the proper mask, social distancing, and hand sanitation will take you well above the 80%, even if you're not vaccinated, to actually give you the ability to vote. But what happens is you have to understand, once you're in line, you have to be given the opportunity to vote, no matter how long it takes. And so if they go past whatever amount of time, this is where the constitutional challenges may have to come in. The Progressive Liberal Party, if they say they are supposed to be the guardian of for the people in opposition, this is, I think, the time for them to assemble their legal team to make sure that order is in the parliamentary office and procedures are put in place to not only give people the right to vote, but to protect the integrity of their health. Because you cannot come, the last thing the PLP want to do is come in on midnight on the 16th and have the next week, an entire collapse of the medical system, because the Hubert Alexander Minister and his Minister of Health have not done anything to build capacity in the last 18 months. And the same way, we're facing the crisis of resources. We don't have the money. Literally speaking, we are literally $3 to $4 billion in the hole. I want pensioners to be afraid, because we have a $5 billion pension bill that is paid month by month or week by week from the Treasury. If the Treasury falls in on itself, there will be no money to pay pensions from that $5 billion worth of pension we have. And in fact, in my opinion, we have a new country to build going forward over the next 2 years to our 50th independence. And so there has to be some strong decisions to be made and hold individuals accountable for what they have done in the last 4 years, both in preparation to become government as well as government, and what they have done. And it's time for the Bahamian people to vote for themselves as opposed to political parties. If you vote for a party, don't be surprised on the 17th if you have a party as opposed to governance. And so we have to begin to decide the country we want. If we are not prepared to fight for our country, then we must be prepared to lose it. That's what the father of the nation said. And this is no more true today than any time else. And personally, I think if the FNM could get rid of Minnis by tomorrow, I think they should be considered an option. With Minnis at his helm, I think that we just need to cherry pick the few that we need to be effective oppositions and get rid of the rest.
Wow. All right, we got to take a break, C. Allen. Wow, what a day, what a day, what a day. Lily says, this is very disheartening to wake up to this news today of declaring an early vote a big disaster. Child, Lily, what are I going to tell you? We're going to talk more about this snap election on the other side of the break. This is GPS on Glory 93.9 FM. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Excuse me. Good afternoon. Excuse me. Anybody have some American single dollars, please?
Wait, shorty, you going for any?
No, my mommy sent me to the cooler ice machine, but I only have Bahamian money. Oh, I'll tell you, mommy, she bladed. Just take Bahamian currency now, child.
You heard right. Cooler Ice Bahamas now accepts U.S. and Bahamian currency. So pull up to any of our locations and get your freshly bagged ice for as low as $3. A Cooler Ice machine is right around the corner. So visit us at Arawaki, Montague Boat Ramp, Porter's Key Dock, Superwash locations, Nassau Street, Gibbs Corner, Wolf Road, Prince Charles Drive, Charles Sanders Highway, Soldier Road, Carmichael Road, and our 4 new locations: Superwash, Carmichael Road West, BPSU Building on Wolf Road, Rolls Auto on East Street South, and Joe Farrington Road, opposite Checkers Cafe. Cooler Ice Bahamas, fresh and ready whenever you are.
Looking for an extraordinary junior high school with caring, qualified staff and affordable tuition? Then come visit us at Elite School of Excellence, an affiliate of First Step Academy. ABECA-focused and Ministry of Education approved, we foster discipline, integrity, and wisdom while molding our students for success. Call us at 341-8846 or stop by First Step Academy Schools on Fire Trail and Soldi Roads for more information.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Escape from the city life to Bacon Air Beach Resort in Piratesville, Mayaguana. Relax in one of 16 air-conditioned rooms just steps away from the ocean. Enjoy scrumptious dishes in our waterfront dining room. Sip on a tropical cocktail, or if you must, stay connected with wireless internet. Nestled on one of the most beautiful beaches in the Bahamas, Bacon Air Beach Resort offers a unique vacation experience. For reservations, call 339-3726 or 463-0182. This portion of GPS is brought to you by Easy Car Sales, home of the electric vehicle. Visit easy242.com and free yourself from gas. And by Crystal Clear H2O Alkaline Water. Come visit us in our new location in the Jams Plaza on East Street South. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, along with my guest today, C. Alan Johnson, and this is a continuation of our series, Political Chess Moves. And the biggest move of all was announced today by Prime Minister Hubert Alexander Minnis, who addressed the nation at 11 o'clock this morning to reveal that elections would be held on the 16th of September 2021. Now, we have a serious problem with confidentiality in this country because everybody did not know that by the time he announced that. At 11 o'clock, we were like, yeah, tell us something we don't know.
I knew from 12 o'clock, the number of groups I posted and people call me, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I understand the Punch even came out and denied it. I had reporters ask me where I got my evidence from, and I told them, I don't share unless I trust, but I verify my sources before I share anything.
Was it you who sent me the note yesterday that the election was September 16th?
Yes.
Yeah, because I even said it on the air yesterday. I said, I'm getting a note now, election is September 16th. So this was no big secret.
Right.
And, it just, unfortunately, because that's not a good thing to have a problem
it's
at
good.
that level.
No, it's good. Yes, what happens?
Okay.
We ask for freedom of information and transparency and accountability.
It's true.
We ask for fixed date election. All of these goes away when you meet those benchmarks.
Yeah.
See, we have to remember, Hubert Alexander Ingram, on this election campaign, promised us transparency, accountability, integrity, anti-corruption, freedom of information, term limits, campaign finance reform. We thought when he was proroguing Parliament for a moment that he was going to come back with this agenda and give us these 10 legislation. And so essentially, Hubert Alexander Minnis as a leader is coming with nothing but broken promises. And so the question is, these are small benchmark. Knowing your election date, knowing when you should register, knowing all of these things was complementary that he didn't even need no laws to do.
Right.
See, let me say this to begin with. When you need a law to make your leader accountable, that's not a leader you need. When you need a law to force your leader to not be corrupt, when you need a law to force your leader to be transparent, you got a problem. And that's where we have said we must get a law to force them to do what they should do in a natural occurrence of them governing us. And so this is why I'm simply saying is that believe it or not, and this is why I'm going to get involved, technology breaks down the wall. This is our anti-technology society, especially for my leadership, is on purpose. They have spent billions of dollars on technology and can't give you a paperless document. That is on purpose because technology brings accountability. Do you notice how you could go back and read all the emails that Donald Trump sent and everything else? Those are countries that have transparency laws. And so if we are to mature in the next government, whether they're their platform or not, on day one, we must demand legislation for transparency, legislation for accountability, legislation for integrity, legislation for anti-corruption, legislation for term limits, legislation for a fixed election date.
Finance reform.
These do not have to be in no manifesto. See, what they do is tell you, that wasn't in our manifesto. No, you're being governed by a template of a manifesto, but you are also being governed for the people, by the people, on behalf of the people. So we could make these demands on a daily basis. And I'm hoping people join me on day one in laying out the legislative agenda by time the election happens. Understand this, election is on the 16th. The speech from the throne is going to be read on the 6th. So between the 16th, or we know who won the election, or by the 17th, and by the 6th, what goes into the speech from the throne, we must make sure these 10 things is in the speech from the throne, and they are done first on the agenda. Because if we're going to borrow the amount of money we have to borrow, then we must have transparency, accountability, we must have integrity, even if we have to use the law to force them to do it for now, and tell people who we don't need the law to force them to do.
We will need to force them, because clearly you can't rely on the goodness of their heart to get it done, because everybody got a good heart when they're in opposition.
But let me, hey, you see what I'm saying is this. I always say, you see this right here, right? When all of the third parties or alternate parties, if they don't survive in the House of Assembly, I want them to know that the Alliance for Change is right here for all of us to come together as one force. See the three colors there? We'll add what is necessary, multiply the good, take away the bad. There'll be no division of better Bahamas. This is one time for us to come together as a united force of all of those individuals, including independent, to not go back and lick your wound, to take the blow that you have. And I'm talking about even for members of parliament who may not win their seats. Don't disappear. If 20 of you F&Ms go away, show your sincerity, that you were really sincere in wanting the change you wanted, that minutes just didn't allow you, by coming and joining the people and demanding the things that you did not deliver be delivered by the new government. And so essentially, what we have to do, whatever the new government is, whether it be PLP, DNA, Coalition of Independence, Righteous Government Movement, Kingdom Government Movement, and whatever mix-up there is out there, simply say to them, you are no longer in charge of our destiny. We are, as a collective, as a people. And believe it or not, this is very simple. 52 reports on 39 members of parliament is very easy for us to do. And we can do this with 5, 10, 20 individuals.
Look at this question that this person is asking on the screen. Anna says, is it possible to have an election over a period of 2 days? If so, why didn't we do this in the face of this pandemic? How do you respond to that?
What happens is you could have, because but a law would have to have been passed. There is no legal impediment. The Constitution doesn't prohibit it. And so they could have went to Parliament and passed that law. In fact, this is extenuating circumstances. The competent authority could call back for a special session of Parliament under the emergency orders and actually have that law passed. And the question is, but doing so, if the majority of individuals in the country is dissatisfied with your leadership, you must use whatever means is necessary to suppress the votes. And COVID is an ideal tool to suppress the votes, because you can stand on that gun and threaten people. But when you say, you come out here, we're going to kill you with an invisible enemy, a lot of people is going to be concerned. And this is why it's going to be important for the opposition parties to begin a massive education campaign as to what is necessary to protect the health and well-being of individuals as they exercise their right to vote, the right to determine their future. And it's very simple. Proper wearing of masks, proper social distancing and proper sanitation. When you dip your hand in the ink and you dry it and you finish with the pen, before you do anything else, you squirt the sanitizer and just sanitize your hand before you leave that place. Carry your own if you have to. But as simple as that saying, that's all that is necessary. And we have not been able to get people to understand that in the last 18 months. Wearing your mask over your nose, not over your lips.
Yeah, or just yeah. You know, you touched on something just now, C. Allen. You may be onto something, because I would not put it past this man to try to use the fear of dying from COVID to stop people from coming out in large enough numbers to give him a problem. I wouldn't put that past him, because and you notice in his address today, before he get to the point about election, he was talking about COVID and debt and all these kind of things, right? Yes. What one got to do next?
What he's telling you is he wants a long line, go get vaccinated if you want to vote. That's essentially what he's saying. Now, I want you to remember, who is advising Dr. Minnis? Not the This is not the FNM advisors. Minnis has his own political advisors. The very guy that advised Donald Trump is advising Minnis.
Okay.
So remember how Trump got in? That misdirection information. So the guy who's advising him, and the guys who advised Trump is now advising Minnis since January of this year.
So that same fellow wasn't advising Trump and he lost the last election, eh?
No, he had to move on. Trump had already decided he was bigger than him. But he's also the guy, remember when Brexit was about to collapse? That same guy is the one who took over the Brexit campaign and caused Brexit to happen. He's good. He's very good.
Yeah, he might be good, but he don't understand Bahamians, I don't think. You know, because Bahamians look special. We special.
We are special. This is why.
Awake in Britain and awake in the States. Oh, man, and awake here.
Listen to me. When I came home with all of my technological advancement, right, it took me a decade to get adjustment to the nuances of Bahamians, of Bahamians' political and social behavior. Let me give you my definition. I said, when it comes to Bahamians, if they like you, they will lie for you. If they don't like you, they will lie on you. When questioned about it, they'll lie to you.
Interesting.
And so you will never know where Bahamians stand until they get out of the boot.
A smile in your face.
Until they get out of the boot. We are one of the most shrewd political individuals in the world.
I remember many years as a young reporter covering elections, right? Man, look here. Some rallies you go to, all you see is a sea of red. Sea of red. We go to the rally, we say, boy, Bill and them gone this time. They gone. You see all these people out here?
Yeah.
I tell my colleagues, T-shirt can't vote. Don't mind that. Baby, people will swing you.
Yeah.
So sad. Election day come. Well, I wonder what happened. I tell you, T-shirt can't vote.
A lot of people don't understand. Getting swing is a Bahamian vernacular. That isn't like when you go to the US and say, "Boy, you get swing." They go, "What do you mean?" Just like CYC,
Yeah.
and getting swing are nuances that belong to the Bahamian people.
Uniquely Bahamian.
And that's why they say that's why I love my country, and we must fight for it. And again, if we have to purge the government, after the purge, we must hold the new tenants accountable.
Chris say we different though. That's a new one. We different though. Tracy says the fair tactic he may be trying might likely backfire because the non-vaccinated will be the largest group to turn up. Mm-hmm.
Right. But so again, but we must remember, let's go back to vaccine. If you are vaccinated, you can catch COVID, you can transmit COVID, and you can get sick from COVID. If you're not vaccinated, you can catch COVID, you can transmit COVID, and you can get sick from COVID. There is no, from a report I read last night, there is no difference between vaccinated and non-vaccinated in this particular situation. The difference is that one, the allegation, because they said the same capacity, they said there's no difference in the capacity to now contaminate. They should say, oh, vaccinated bring a certain lower level. No, the studies shows that they have equal amount. So they are both a danger. Vaccinated people are a danger to unvaccinated, and unvaccinated are a danger to vaccinated. So we are a danger to everybody still. The difference, they argue, is that this thing, which should no longer be called a vaccine, but a therapeutic treatment. And this, I want people to say, this is not my opinion. On the application for COVID vaccines, they list as a vaccine or therapeutic. The fact that vaccine prevents, this is now a therapeutic. And the argument has to be that it will make you less likely to be hospitalized or to die. It definitely will not prevent transmission. So I'm simply saying is you must act in a state of paranoia in the absence of our medical professionals being given the proper tools to battle what is necessary. In absence of the Minister of Health and the Prime Minister creating an environment over 18 months where he had to prepare for such an eventuality of this for failing to do so. Plain and simple.
Welcome to GPS.
Yes, just to add to what CA is saying, if you look at a few countries that are just about 100% vaccinated, CA, like Gibraltar, which is of course the south of Spain and Portugal. Every man, woman, and child is vaccinated. They are having a problem. They're having a problem. They have a health crisis over there. Okay? So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and it sounds like you're advocating to a certain degree the vaccines.
No, I'm advocating.
I'm just making sure we're on the same page because I don't want to read you the wrong way.
I'm simply saying is I need people, in my personal opinion, to abandon the concept that this is a vaccine. I know what a vaccine does. A vaccine prevents infection. This does not prevent infection.
The question is, though, CA, if this really is a vaccine.
Well, that's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying.
I'm saying this takes the same position as the proper medication of building your immune system, building, whether you call it the Bush medics. This so-called Delta has evened the ground. The question is, understand this. The impact, if you look at everyone who's most likely died in this country, there's a comorbidity. This is decades of creating a sick country. Overweight, diabetes, high blood pressure, all of these difficulties.
I did a whole 2-hour show on this yesterday, okay? So we ain't gonna get it. Go watch the show from yesterday.
I am simply saying I want people to make informed decisions because I see a lot of people are saying taking these so-called vaccines will prevent infection. Dr. Minnis is making it seem the same thing. I'm simply saying we must have truth in dialogue. Okay? And so what I'm simply saying is that the most important thing in this country today is self-protection. And that is social distancing, if possible, double masking, and sanitation. And for God's sake, build your immune system. And I know a lot of you can't lose weight or do your sugar or change all of those environments. So the best thing to do then is to protect yourself. We're so busy on vaccine, we're not telling people. If you protect yourself and you don't get infection, then you don't have to worry about COVID. So why are we not putting emphasis on proper protection? Why didn't the government, where the government could buy masks, the above the cloth mask, the medical mask, before you reach N95, for 5 cents each. I can buy masks for 5 cents each. The government should have made sure that everybody have double masks. That means you go 5 cents, then it costs $20 to give a person a year's supply of masks. And sanitary, I'm simply saying steps could have been taken to better prepare this country in the last 18 months to prepare. Prevention is better than cure. Plain and simple.
This is not a Wednesday wellness show. Right. Let's just stay focused. We're talking election today.
Hey, let me just tell you, let's go back and watch yesterday's show.
Just watch yesterday's show. We done come over that.
Michelle,
yes.
Michelle, I don't blame CA because he got to go there. This man, his last address to the Bayman public was about the vaccine.
Yeah,
and
but
it's also incumbent upon. Who knows what his last desperate attempt will be? Okay, the protocols, and then they put in a new protocols for voting because of the social distancing and this and that. You know, people may get perturbed because they'd be turned away because the crowd gets too sick. They're going to come back and whatnot. Who knows? He's going to try.
To that degree, it'll be very interesting to see what the response will be from the Bahamian voting populace, because when I tell you Bahamian people take seriously their right to vote, we have a very, very high
the highest in the
voter turnout compared to other nations. The Bahamians think that's serious, or seriously, which is the proper English way to say that. My mother would not.
You're Bahamian.
All right, but no, we don't play with that. So it'll be very interesting to see how this whole COVID thing plays out. I really don't think it's going to make a difference, because I think people will, like you say, double mask, do whatever they got to do, but they come in to mark that X. I really can't see any Bahamians staying home because they scared of COVID and they still want chance in 5 years to vote.
But you have to think,
another thing too, Michelle, especially this election, Bahamians feel the need, the patriotic need, and also their disgust with this the prime minister. They feel a need to make sure, do their part to get this fool out of there. This time is personal. This time with the Bahamian people is very, very, very personal.
This time is for country and yourself.
Yeah, the people right now are past fed up. You know, they scratching their scalp right now. You know, wondering how they can maintain. Right now, if the bird do some droppers in the windshield, man, we just gotta go, man. Same thing. See, the people, everybody gets rid of. Everybody blames everything. You know, that's what the people, how they feel right now.
But you know what?
Okay.
I got to take a break, but I want to drop this for C. Allen to ponder, and we can talk about this on the other side of the break. I think a lot of people already know who they ain't voting for.
Yes.
Oh, that's for sure.
But they are very still unclear as to who they will be voting for. And how will that play out in the next election?
Well, that is very interesting. I think that will be a good discussion after the break, to be honest.
Yeah, let's talk about it. But we do have to take a break. So let's get our sponsors' commercials in. And then after we pay these bills, we're going to come back and we're going to continue to talk about September 16th, 2021, a day that will live in infamy in the Bahamas. Next election date has been set. We're talking about it here on GPS. Stay with us.
Less stress, hats off, looking like I walked out of catalog. Everybody wanna know where I got it from. Catwalk, 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 boutique, where we make fashion statements. Catwalk, boutique, where we make fashion statements.
For the latest styles in women's clothing and accessories, visit Catwalk Boutique on Robertson Road East at the Helron Plaza. At Catwalk Boutique, we make fashion statements.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
One of the things I love about the Mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with Mailboat's U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Mailboat's just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by
Classic Formal Wear, the place where you can find everything you need for that special occasion.
and by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. Michelle Malcolm here with C. Alan Johnson. We have a caller on the line, so we're going to go straight to the phone call. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hey, JT and Michelle.
Hey, JT. Good.
Hey, C. Alan.
How you doing, sir?
As I had listened to the Prime Minister's speech earlier regarding calling the elections for the 16th of next month, something jumped out at me regarding the COVID-19 vaccine being in country. It is my opinion that we are not going to reach herd immunity before the 16th of next month. Do you agree with that, either of you, C. Alan or Michelle?
Yes, because essentially we have to vaccinate about 200,000 people by then. So it's almost an impossibility, because even if they wanted to get vaccinated, there's not enough vaccine in the country.
Right, and herd immunity was the threshold, as it was, that the government was using to give itself the comfort zone to call elections. Am I correct in that understanding?
Yes, taking the health minister at his word.
Right. So Dr. Mills now has gone based on the pronouncements by, is it Dr. Del Regis, who would have stated that there would be 60,000 or so who will be vaccinated within the next few weeks.
Yes, 6 weeks.
Yeah. Now, the elections, that's what, 4 weeks from now?
Just ask the question, Manjay. Do you take it up a lot of time? Get to the question.
No, Michelle, with all due respect, ma'am, I'm just trying to clarify something in my head as I'm talking to C. Alan and you.
Okay.
what I'm trying to understand is I hope to God, let me just end on this note. I hope to God that because of political expediency, that this situation health-wise does not backfire on us as a people because of the campaigning that will be ramping up even more so now. And so many people may not at that point have been vaccinated because I think this was a rush deal. I think the Prime Minister should have never called the elections until those 60,000 plus Bahamians would have already been listed as vaccinated. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for calling, JT.
The 60,000 would not have gotten us to herd immunity. And just like another poster said, there will never be herd immunity in the purest sense that the vaccinated is contaminating the vaccinated. So the only argument can be made is we're trying to mitigate hospitalization. So this pandemic is quickly moving to become endemic. And let me tell you too, endemic is like the flu, the cold, and whatever else it is. So that's where we're moving to. And so that would mean that we have to have a strategy for healthness and wellness, as opposed to not just simply vaccinate and hopefully you won't need to come to the hospital. Because here's the problem. If you vaccinate the entire population and we still get contaminated because we are a tourism destination and a new variant come in, we still will get capacity, because what happens is after we get vaccinated under the false sense that we have this immunity, we're going to run around, and when the hospital becomes overloaded again, you still going to have people die.
Oh, yesterday. I spent no more time today talking about no vaccine. Right. What from yesterday? Okay. Now, we have a very serious point that was put on the table prior to going to the break. A lot of people already know who they ain't voting for. Right. We don't know who we ain't voting for. But there's still some uncertainty as to who they will vote for. Right? I see a couple of people commenting here saying, Michelle, you hit the nail on the head. That's what Sylvie says. Rochelle says, exactly, Michelle, because that's me. I'm still not sure, but it will not be the FNM. So we have a couple of people who are commenting on this, saying that they agree with that sentiment, that they may know who they're not going to vote for, but they ain't sure who they will vote for. Sylvie says, always voted FNM, however, not this time. Wonder who is going to romance me. What are your thoughts, C. Allen? How will that play out in this next election?
Here's what you do. You already know who you're not voting for. And trying to find who you will vote for, try your best to engage the client or the party if they belong to one. And I say this, get their commitment to what you want done on tape. We all got devices in our hand. That will become the most powerful tool to check the credibility of the promises made. When they come to you, if a PLP come to you, tell them, I want to know what you will do as an MP, the position you will take as an MP. Yes, Brave will be your leader. What will your position be? And I want it on the record if you are to have my vote. Make them commit in video and audio, and you can send it to me. I will hold them accountable for you. And so that's where you have accountability, because when enough of us who we choose to vote for can see that we can hold them accountable. Secondly, you must quantify and qualify the promises made. It is easy for me to tell you that you're going to win the lottery, but never even engage you on how you're going to buy a ticket. And so I'm simply saying this is an opportunity for pies in the skies. So what you have to do is simply say, you're looking for, again, legislation to enable Bahamians, policies to make it possible, and programs for which you could actually be prepared. And so stop making it about the little minor things about you want a job. No, you want access to capital to own a business. So what you have to do now is look at developing your personal economy. And there's nothing wrong with worried about stuff. And if what you choose to do is align with the community, even more the better. But the best way to do is listen with your mind to what those aspirants are saying to you, and vote for a person you think is most capable and the one you can hold most accountable.
All right. Cheryl has a very good question. She says, if we do everything you say and the MPs still ignore their constituents' requests once they get in, what do we do next?
They can't, because this is where, again, All of them is not going to run, duck, and hide. So if we grab a hold of 20 constituents, regardless if they're in the same party or not, Parliament is controlled by the Westminster system that says the majority rules. So we just have to find 20 members of Parliament who will do what the people say. And you know what it is, right? The power of the people is and shall always be greater than the people in power. When they know that you will act as a collective, even to the point for calling for their resignation, because they can't do something tomorrow if you are there to question about what they did today. It's when you say, oh, I knew they wasn't going to do that or whatever else. No, they are your employees. And when you begin to hold them accountable on a daily basis, the problem is we give them too much rope, and then we find out later the rope ain't tied to us. So we have to hold this rope. And every time they're going out of place, you yank them. You may not believe it. The leader of that party is more afraid of you than the MPs are, because the leader of that party knows when the people rise up, he will have to respond. You control you control the country, you know. You control the jobs. There can be no labor. There can be no economy without you.
Here's
so
the thing.
When you go to take action as a collective, the same way the doctors are doing, the same way the nurses are doing it, the same way we can go as a collective and make government do as we do. We have to stop being pacifists.
Here's the thing, because Bahamians don't like to come out. Well, you know, it takes a special degree of leadership, I think, to get Bahamians out en masse. And then you have this level of distrust after what went down after we marched. But here's the thing. You know, I grew up, you know, watching cartoons and other children's programming on television. And one of the shows that I used to love to watch was Superman, right? They had a series, it wasn't just a movie, but a series of Superman. And everybody knew what Superman's weakness was. Kryptonite. We all knew that, right? And so the smart villains used to find a way to get kryptonite in the vicinity where Superman was to weaken him so that they could launch their attack. Now, obviously, Superman is the star, so, you know, something was going to happen for him to win anyhow. But here's the thing. Very early in the game, Menace revealed what his kryptonite was. This man scared of protests.
Yep.
Every time somebody say they gonna do a protest, he finds some kind of way to dissolve that.
Because, you know why? He knew protesters would got him there.
Exactly.
But here's the problem we have with the march. Again, we surrendered our authority to Renard Henfield. I'm saying to you, we can march, but never give up your right to one individual. If you join me downtown on a march, don't say Sea Island speaks for us exclusively, because the minute Sea Island become compromised, you now have no authority. I'm simply saying to you, you make sure that you don't allow what you want to be said exclusively through my mouth. You speak with me and don't allow me to speak for you. And so the problem is we keep looking for these leadership messianic type environment. That is what we have to stop. We have to understand that collectively we have a voice. And don't say, well, that's close enough what Sue Allen said. It's not close enough. And so what you do is you say you trust, but you verify. And this is why I'm simply saying is we could democratize any movement in the Bahamas by making it into constituency and then making it even into polling station. So we'll have a democratized movement for control of our government, as opposed to saying, well, C. Allen Johnson is the new Messiah for the next term. I'm simply saying is all government is afraid of the people. They just don't want you to know that. And so I'm simply saying to you is let them know, sir, I'm voting for you, not for your party. And when you don't do what I say, we, not me, we're coming for you. Okay? We're not coming downtown for things. We will protest for you as a community. We are sending you there as a community. We will have marches against you, and then collectively as a country, we'll march against your government, even if you're the only one that's against us. Because all of us are now working as a swarm. So even if my MP is doing what I want, and you call to say, you need my support against the MP that you have is not doing what you want, I want you to know you have my support. Not because my MP is doing what I want, I say too bad for you. So when they recognize that they don't know who's coming for them, but we will be coming, they will respond. And that's where the power of the people becomes greater than the people in power.
Did you just answer this question? Jamila is asking, ask C. Allen how we can safeguard our vote.
The safeguard your vote is to get them to commit to what they're going to say they're going to do. I would put up, maybe even do a show with Michelle before. You want transparency legislation, accountability legislation, integrity legislation, anti-corruption legislation, proper commitment to digitization of the government, not these happenstance what they're doing. What you want, like a national ID system that will solve immigration instantaneously. What you want is term limits. I'll make a list of things that you ask for, and hold your camera up. Hold your camera up at your candidates and ask them. Say on camera, on day one, you will be heard agitating and demanding these things. If we get 39 of them times whatever amount of people on video and put them all together, no matter who wins there, we will remind them. I will make my personal list, I think, in principle, what has to be done, and then we can go to the details of how to achieve it. But once you get them to commit on camera, if we got 30 of them to commit on camera, on day one, we can play that back for them to see. Mr. C. Allen Johnson, this is what you committed to. So from day one, we will know you are a liar. When we know you are a liar, we no longer will take what you say, and we will then make it that the party will have to respond to your lies. So what I'm simply saying is there's multiple tiers of accountability we could bring to play.
Somebody asked, can we get something that is legally binding? Can we get them to sign agreements?
No, this is why we use the word honorable. This is what the Westminster system was meant to be for honorable people. The problem is we give them titles of honorable. Let me ask you a question. If you see a turd in the field and you call it honorable, does it change what it is? It don't. So I'm simply saying is their actions determine the honorable. So what I'm simply saying is let's then ask them to do what they say. But I'm saying to you, out of all of us, 194,000 of us, let's get the camera and put it on those 39 constituencies and ask them. And I will make a list and we'll come back, Michelle, and I'll make it available on my page. You just go to allencjohnson.com or michellemalcolm.com. It'll take you right to our pages. And simply decide, what do you want for your future? And then begin to tell them, make them commit right now in spite of their party platform. And then we will play this back for them and play it back for them. And we'll hold press conferences in the front of Our News and ZNS and JCN and Eyewitness News to call our leader a liar, because we'll have the evidence. There will be this is not going to be no slander or defamation. We can say, here's what he says, and here's what he's doing. That makes him a liar. And we'll remind him what he is.
Jamila, for clarification, says, I'm talking about the counting of votes. How do you safeguard the counting of votes? I think we just do what we've always done.
Political party, this is where the political parties, because the authority lies in the candidates, right? So, but believe it or not, you have the ability to go there as an observer, You just can't be within the pen or whatever they call it when they do the counting. But you have every right to observe what is happening. And again, they may use COVID as a means of saying what cannot be done. But once you are properly protected and social distance, you have a right to be there. But this is where we must demand, beginning tomorrow, today actually, we must demand from the Free National Movement and from the parliamentary office the guidelines by which we will be voting. You don't want to know later. We want to know the strategy today. Tell us today. Lay out your strategy in the public domain. I mean, I want to know, lay out across the 39 constituencies your safety protocol, your how you your station's gonna be, how it's gonna be done. If they call the election today, that means the parliamentary office should be prepared, not getting prepared. So we must ask of them, publish your strategy right now so we can review it. Constituency by constituency, polling station by polling station. So we don't come back and say, oh, we didn't know. Because we will know at least 2 weeks in advance exactly what has to be done to exercise your right to vote.
Somebody's
and that's why the demand has been made now.
Somebody's asking, how soon will that be on your page? Bertha's asking that question.
Friday afternoon. Within 2 hours after I'm finished here today.
Okay. All right. Well, these are some exciting times. It's going to be a sprint, so that means that everybody's going to be running at full speed, building up. And
they might want to run past you and not answer these questions.
It's an all-out sprint, but you got to make people accountable, y'all. You got to make us plenty people.
Listen to me. There's nothing more powerful. Remember, they said a picture takes 1,000 words. Video is the most powerful thing you get. Video and audio. You walk up to C. Allen Johnson, say, C. Allen Johnson, I want to know, as a member of parliament, is this what you represent? And you want to ask for the political party leadership right now to go to the parliamentary office and have them publish what is necessary for us to succeed, to be able to vote.
I dare say that this next election will be perhaps the most important election since that of majority rule that we're going to face as a nation. Because whatever we do on September 16th is going to have a direct impact on the welfare of this nation going forward. This is not just any typical vote, people. This one is serious. And I dare say that we need to understand the weight that sits upon us all as the electorate to make the right decision. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, Michelle, I just wanted to add before you finish up for the day. I thoroughly agree with you. Where everyone realizes that there was the importance of this election where they put their eggs. Moultrie, on your show before yesterday, said something twice, and so that definitely stood out in my mind. I reminded him of that yesterday in Rosin Square. I identified who I was when I called on the show, and I was telling him certain things, if you recall. But he mentioned that based on the data they're getting from the ground, that Bahamians are not voting in the PLP or the FNM. Chances are we just may see a third party get governance of this nation. That's a strong possibility. Based on my observations, based on the observations of friends and family and other colleagues, it seems like the people have made up their mind. I'll leave that just like that.
All right. Thank you for calling. C. Allen, what are your thoughts?
Well, my data says that the alternate parties have begun to fumble in the last matter of weeks and began to lose, I would say, efficiency or whatever they like the so-called Maxims. Because so what happens now, it is no longer a party. It is now those individual candidates within those parties, whether or not they can pull off an individual win, because the party's messages have been somewhat begin to become convoluted and conflated. And begin to become contradictory, and the leadership of those political parties have also begun to falter. And so this is why I'm an advocate now for, in the absence of the endemic change we need within Parliament, it must happen with the people. And so it then becomes irrelevant. This is why it's important, because if you commit to holding your member of Parliament accountable, and you actually commit for 5 years to doing so, it won't matter who you vote for. Literally speaking, because you will be holding whomever you put there accountable. And that's where the chances for the third parties, or as we call them, comes in. If you feel that they possess the competence to speak for you, not for no political party. You don't want a party speaking. You need individuals who will speak for you. And so if you find a third party, an independent, that will actually speak for you, and I've seen it. I've seen in Reese Chipman and even Malcolm Pine and even Housen Moultrie and some others, the ability, but I think in their sincereness, to actually advocate and speak for the people. And so the question is, will they continue? I think they will. But when you choose someone, if you have to choose for someone in a party, make sure that person will not speak on party line, that they will speak as an independent, even though running on a party ticket. And if you find that those persons are credible and you feel good within your spirit and you can get them to commit on tape on what they're going to do as a collective, and they don't change their story from you to someone else, that's why it's important to see, to make sure, because, they might come to see Alan Johnson and say, yes, 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 yes. And they go next door to Michelle and says, well, Michelle, I really can't. Because they say, you know what, Michelle going to be passive, but C. Alan Johnson can call me out. So that's why I agree to him. So you have to be prepared that all of the message we give to each of us is consistent to all of us.
Do you believe that this snap election will be of benefit in any way to, I heard what you just said in terms of the direction that people are going in. But one of the disadvantages, I think, for the newer parties is that they don't have that experience as it relates to campaigns.
Resources will be important for the next 3 weeks.
So will this snap election be of benefit to them or detrimental to them?
I think the snap election is going to impose the fact that they don't have capitalization right now. The race, remember now, the gun has been pulled. Everybody's now out of the gates as of 10 a.m. today or 11 a.m. when the Prime Minister spoke. There's no if the election might be coming. The date has been set. The finish line has been drawn. So their disadvantage is going to be if they don't have the resources, then they're going to have to depend on the social reach of the people who believes they can accommodate it. I told people, 5 people talking to 5 people talking to 5 people, when you reach 5 deep for 16,000 people. Do you have the ability to utilize the tools that's been available to you? And a lot of them has not been using social media and the other tools effectively as they should. The question now becomes, can they galvanize those disenfranchised and those new voters who basically have decided who they're not voting for? Understand this. When a person says, I know who I'm not voting for, it's not a positive to other parties when they say, I know I'm not voting for the FNM. The mere fact that they have not made up their minds, and not as much as 1/3 of the voters, if you believe that the numbers are correct, which is significant enough to create some independence in there. The question is, can those independents, not from a national poll, is there sufficient people within those 30% in your constituency? Because those were national polls. So there can be circumstances where third parties and independents can make it in if those 1/3 of those individuals, because remember, in a 3-race and a 4-way race, you're no longer looking at 50% plus 1. You're looking at 34%. You're looking at whatever. So if you can bring that across the line, you could very well have some independents in the race. And that's the question is, what have they been doing on the ground besides depending on the leadership to carry their message? And that's the weakness of these third parties. It was always about the leader talking as opposed to them being on the ground billing. And so, but I'm saying to you, it comes right back, these third parties or alternate parties can become a coalition on the day after for accountability to what their platforms meant. They were fighting for preeminence. Good. You have now lost the ability to lead any party according to the Westminster system if you don't become government. See, what the scary thing is this. Michelle, according to the Westminster system, if you don't become government as promised, you leader of a party, your job is to immediately resign as leader of the party and possibly your seat. So that's where we see where integrity comes in. And so this is why you say it's important. We are a dispensation where we have a whole new dispensation that we have the opportunity to shape the Bahamas going forward.
All right, C. Alan, time is gone. Wow, what a day. We've been telling them long time, and maybe they should start to listen to us. Hey, what you think?
The show is, I told you so. Maybe like I told you so part 2.
Yeah, I think we can change the title of this show. Thanks as always, C. Alan, for being here today. I can always count on you to break it down for us and make it, break it down into biteable pieces so we can digest it better. So I want to thank you so much for your continued support and brilliance as always. Thank you for being here. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Tomorrow is Friday. Oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. TGIF Open Line show for tomorrow. And then on Monday, we are going to have Ambassador Benjamin Smith from the Embassy International will be in the house, because originally he was supposed to be on today, but child, I had to call him and beg forgiveness because, we had to talk politics today, but he's agreed to come on Monday. And boy, that is a timely show. Do not miss that. I'm Michelle Malcolm. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.